welcome to a review of a little French city car, a Peugeot 106 S1. It's a Peugeot 106 XN, so bottom of the barrel, very basic spec. But this one's not quite as basic as it's made out to be. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, so we've had this car 8 months. We rescued it from scrap for about £200. I think it was it 250? I think it's 250. So this has a little 1 litre TU9 engine, 40 horsepower from the book figure, we believe. We had it dynoed and it ran 51, but it didn't feel like 51. It still felt like it had 40. But it had 51 horsepower apparently. I might link Rich's video in the description actually of this. He'll be a bit more interesting than me. Right, so the outside. An original XN would have came with just black bumpers, front and rear, Bogo spec, black mirrors as well. But as you can see, we've colour coded them. It was a big decision. My girlfriend really didn't know if she wanted just plain black, but repaint them black, or to go for the colour coded. But I think the colour coded works really well. I do. Fog lights in the bottom. They're not official Peugeot or anything like that, just some eBay units. But it goes with the square aesthetic. And that was of the era. It's just after the 80s. I guess they were designing it in the 80s. So it's 205-esque, really. Very square. If you look at, you probably see S2s on the road a lot more often. They're a lot more curvy for pedestrian safety. I mean, if you hit a pedestrian in a 106, you're going to come off worse. Yeah, walking around, colour coded the wheel trims as well. That was obviously not factory, but I think it looks really good. Yeah, suspension wise, originally no anti-roll bars at all, so your corner like that. Not quite 2CV spec, but it's not far off. You sort of roll around everywhere. That's all been changed. We'll talk about that in a bit. And to the rear, there's not much to talk about around the rear. Again, painted bumpers. Looks good. The side we've had. This is the good side. This is the good side. Yeah, obviously, after nearly 30 years. I think it's 1995. This car. It'll be 30 years this year. Oh. It had loads of dings and dents, just your normal stuff. So girlfriend's skimmed that back and painted over it. You can't really tell. We didn't paint the entire side. We sort of blended it in. And on a white car, it's very easy to blend. So even if we didn't do a good job, I mean, I can see a few runs there. But at some lights, I haven't even noticed that for ages. Yeah, it's just blended really nicely. Yeah, not much to say around here, but again, just it's very basic. So we'll have a look at the interior now. There's a lot's changed in there from what it was. We're going to have a look at that. Right, to the interior. And this shouldn't take very long because there's not much to it. I'll sit in it, why not? So, very basic. Very basic. We have got no rev counter. That is not a rev counter. We do not rev to 2:15. We just have a fuel gauge, the speedo, which in typical French fashion doesn't really work. We've just had to adjust that recently and it's still out. I think it was about 10 miles per hour out, which is in the wrong direction, which is fun. Just an oil light and a temperature light that sometimes decide if they want to come on. Yeah, 83,000 miles on the body. We'll talk about that in a second. Of the car. So the previous owner didn't really put many miles onto it. Didn't have too many owners. These cars rarely do have many owners, to be fair. So on the right hand stalk, it's just your window wipers and a washer. You do get a washer and a rear washer, which is separate, which I'll show you in a sec. And just indicator and your typical horn, rapid fire horn in the back end there. I like it when it's like that, rather than because then you can have a funky steering wheel. Looks nice. Center console, not obviously the standard radio, but it can be a cassette player, which is lucky on an XN. Not sure it would have come with a cigarette lighter. I think that was a blanking plate. And girlfriend retrofitted cigarette lighter. But yeah, just your standard blower motors. Yeah, just nothing to it. The original car would have had a 4-speed gearbox as well. Still got a 4-speed knob on it. And just a handbrake. Manual windows. Nothing much going on in there. It's just nothing to it, is there? So everything's very simple. Everything's very easy to work on. So these are cloth seats from a 106 GTI. And in very rare specs. So I think you got red, blue, and then these yellow ones, which are the colours of the Rally, I think, as well. And the yellow ones are really rare. No one spec'd them because, well, for whatever reason, they didn't like the colour. But yeah, I managed to find a full set that we did from a guy, and it was actually from the Red Bull Technology Centre. Someone had one, so we went all up there and got that. But yeah, the interior is really nice. These seats are so comfortable. Obviously, it's not my car, so I spend most of my time in this seat. But it's very comfortable. It is. But other than that, they're slightly adjustable. Girlfriend's put a sub in as well, because of course 90s hatchback, you only have a sub, and little tweeters in the parcel shelf. Also got 5 seats somehow. It's not really a seat in the middle, but yeah, even being such a small car, it's even still got 5 seats. You know, most modern cars don't even have 5 seats anymore, just 4, despite being the size of a small church. So yeah, it's very nice. It is a comfortable place to be. And you can see you can also pop the sunroof out completely to make, I mean, it's probably for warmer climates than R1, even though it's been really nice here. But you can completely take it out to, yeah, just to get in some more air. Also mention that the XN did not come out, did not have pop-out windows, at least not R1. These are from an S2 that we've retrofitted. Well, I say retrofitted, it's exactly the same bolts, you just put it in. Yes, that's a nice little touch. Now a dog can get some air when we're driving. I guess the only other little quirk in this car, which someone thought about, well, I don't know if you can see that there, but the parcel shelf has a little cutout there for the rear brake. But it also fits perfectly in the little tunnel down there. So when you fold the seats completely flat, you can put a parcel shelf here behind the front seats, and then it becomes a little van. Very, very practical. So that's all for the interior. We'll move on to the more exciting stuff. Well, one little quirk about this car as well is you have your regular washer bottle at the front of the car. You know, it does the front of the windscreen. That's what you expect. We also expect it to do the rear windscreen as well. But no, in French wisdom, you have a tiny bottle here. That is your washer fluid for the rear. So it's got its own little pump in there, and it struggles to send power to the rear window. But yeah, just a little quirk. It's really annoying to fill up. Make sure you get water all in your boot so it rusts away. I reckon that's what they were going for. But yeah, an interesting little quirk there. Right, on to more interesting things. The underpinnings. So, this car would have come with extreme basic suspension with a really thin rear axle, 3 stud wheels that were tiny as well. They're Finale 145s tyres, so super skinny. No anti-roll bars, I say, so you roll through the corners everywhere. But what we've done as, I wouldn't call it modification really, I would call it making it easier to maintain. Because getting parts for an original S1 XN would just be ridiculously, just be really hard. Even down to getting 145 tyres, no one has these anymore. So yeah, what we did, we took the entire underpinnings from an S2 106. We had one lying in our yard that we saved very briefly. So what we did, we took the entire suspension system, dropped it, and just put it into this one, into an S1. It's really simple to do. It's just bolts really. 3 studs, up to 4, 165, let's say, yeah, 165 tyres now, so much easier to find. Wider track as well, as the actual axle was wider, not just the tyres. So we've probably got some photos of what it looked like before, but the wheels are sunk in all the way into the bodywork. It looks hilarious. But yeah, it's sitting out. Still in the bodywork, yes, but it is sitting out properly now. The front looks quite nice, sat like that. Yeah, so the brakes as well, got a bigger front disc, still drums at the back, that's fine for such a light car. And the roll bars, front and rear now instead of just none. So the road holding's a lot better. So yeah, that's pretty much it for underneath. But as in suspension, now more interestingly, is what's under the bonnet. Okay, so moving on to underneath the bonnet, let's open it up. Right, we got it. So running 1.6 8 valve from a Zara Picasso. It's not exactly the same engine as a VTR. Layout wise it is, but it's slightly less horsepower, I think 90 horsepower, but slightly more torque. I don't know how they did that. I guess to cope with the extra weight of a Picasso, they needed a bit more torque. Yeah, it went in, it's same engine mounts and all that. So it didn't take too long, a day's work to put that in. We didn't start the channel then. We really should have. We were engine swapping left, right and centre at that time. But yeah, that's in. So we tried to put a bigger radiator in when we did put it in. Well, the one we got just didn't fit very well. So we had to run the original TU9 engine one, which is like this big. Kept on overheating. So yeah, at least we found out that you can't run a TU9 radiator on a VTR one. But yeah, bigger radiator in, no overheating now. And it's been reliable really. Had a bit of issue with fuel, kept on spewing out everywhere, that's sorted. Recently changed over the airbox as well to the 1.6. Get a bit of induction noise actually with it like that. We've almost doubled the horsepower of the car, and that's just to keep up with traffic. So with the 40 horsepower, you have to boot it everywhere. I reckon it would have been fun in the 90s. These days, it was just way too slow. You're being gapped by a bus. Decision made, 1.6. We've recently put a manifold on it, and that has actually made a big difference. We didn't do it for performance. We did it because the old manifold had a crack in it, and it's cheaper to buy aftermarket, or easier to find an aftermarket probably. Yeah, that has released quite a bit of horsepower now. So it'd be interesting to see between this one and then my black one what's faster. Other things, we need to change the ECU over as well. Needed to put in a new tray for that, I believe. Other than that, it just goes together. It's really easy to do, to be honest. So last things to mention really, the coil pack was changed from an inline coil pack, which ran all the way across the top of the engine, to the old style one with the rubber leads, and the top of the engine, that was changed as well to an S1. Those things were interchangeable between the two cars, and the reason for that is just to keep it looking older. No performance benefits, no reliability benefits really. Just aesthetically, my girlfriend wanted it to, you open the bonnet and go, oh, it's a 1 litre engine. The loom, so it's a S2 loom for the engine, but it's mounted to the S1 loom for the interior. So that just means we can have a few more safety features, being a fuel cut-off. That wants to stop rattling. Being a fuel cut-off for if you inevitably roll the car. So yeah, when you hit an apex too good, and you hit a bank, you fly up onto 2 wheels and roll over. It'll cut the fuel, and then you don't burn to death. You just roll to death instead. So gearbox. It used to have on the XN a 4-speed. Don't know the name of it, but it was a 4-speed. And that would fit to a 1.6. It'd be a bit weird, it'd be very long-legged I suppose. But yeah, it was very crunchy into first and second gear, so unfortunately we had to get rid of it. You might have seen we left the 4-speed knob on there, just again for aesthetic reasons only. So we didn't put a VTR gearbox on. It's got the 1.1 gearbox on from an S2, which was again from the silver car that we used the underpinnings for the suspension. So it's very quick through the gears, the same one as my black one, which we'll get to in another video. The acceleration wise, it gets going pretty well off the line. Surprises a few people. And you can start in, because of more torque as well from being in a Picasso, you can start in second gear. My girlfriend does it all the time. And it gets going really well. Yeah, the gearbox is smooth enough as well. They tend to crunch gears. My third gear on my black one's crunch. So we'll see how long this one lasts. But other than that, that's it under here. Despite being engine swap, there isn't actually that much to talk about, but it's also easily put in. So the only thing left to do now is some driving impressions. I haven't driven this car before, because it's not mine. Then I'll see what it compares to my black 106 Rally Rep. Let's go. Well, if you're in the driver's seat then. So the only thing I've got to base off is my own S2, but they're set up very differently, they are. So it'll be interesting to see what the difference is. So, first gear, let's go. Well, immediately the clutch is a lot higher up than my one. And it's a lot more comfortable. Wow! Look at that! I'm running about 20 miles an hour, supposedly. Who knows with the speedo in this? In a sense, it feels as it should do. The same as my car. The layout's all exactly the same. The steering wheel, I actually prefer this over a regular S2. I've got a aftermarket steering wheel on my one, which is quite nice, but I like the style of steering wheel. Oh, let's not run over the doggos. Is avoided. Steering is a lot more vague. I don't know if that's just down to massive tyres, but look at that. There you going anywhere. It's still going straight. It's our first corner. Okay. Well, the steering slightly stiffens up actually when you go around a corner. I wasn't expecting to remember that from my one. Through all the gears. So there's 5 of them, of course. Ignore the rattle of pure coinage of about 18p in the centre console. So let's get a bit of a straight line here, I think. Second gear, put a foot down. That's a good response. Very good response. Yeah, no lag really at all. Yeah, it's good. It's picking up very well. I have no idea what I'm revving to, obviously, but it should be about 6.5 where it normally would be. Maybe touching 7 perhaps. How's the crunch into reverse? They'll do it. Let's see. Oh, hello. Reverse is smooth. I'm already getting used to the clutch as well. Yeah, it's intuitive, isn't it? 106 is just get in and some of they use them as learner driver cards, so you just get in and go. Brief MOT test. It works. Rapid fire all works. Otherwise, I can't get up to too much speed around here. I think there's one corner I have to push around a little bit. I was expecting the handling to be a apart from the steering wheel not being, it's a bit vague in the middle here. I was expecting the handling to be a bit more, I don't know if wallowy is the right word, but you know, big tyres, a big chunky sidewall, and just regular S2 suspension. Yeah, it hasn't got any thicker anti-roll bars or anything like that. But it actually just feels really good. It's lighter than my car on paper. I'm have mine moved a little bit. Hello, Ford Cougar. Don't sneak around that easy, look. It really is designed for roads like this. Tiny little V roads. Just scoot around. You don't really have to think much about driving. But what I will say, it's very hot in here. I mean, I've got the windows closed to help with the wind noise. But yeah, the amount of glass, modern cars don't have that, and then they're a little bit tinted, but not much. It does get hot. Let's give the brakes a test here then. So I don't have to hit Ford Cougars. Not the best. Not the best. Not the best brakes. Well, I didn't fully lock up or anything like that, but yeah, the brakes could do an upgrade, maybe a rear disc conversion as well. I mean, it's got 1.6 power, but it's still got drums at the back, so maybe a good idea to update those. I'll set uphill handling line. All the gears are so smooth, which is rare for a 106. Hopefully I don't lunge my girlfriend's gearbox, because I'm a bit ham-fisted when it comes to that sort of thing. What the heel and toe's like actually. Let's heel and toe into second gear. Get a bit more speed up. No brake. Oh yeah, nice. Decent. And with the heel, I'm size 12 feet. And I always thought French cars have very tiny pedal boxes. It's bloody hot in here. They have very tiny pedal boxes, but I can hear them so perfectly fine. Really, that's not an issue. Steering's so much lighter than mine. Steering is so much lighter. Yeah, no power steering. But it does feel light. How goes the handbrake? Bit of squat when you put your handbrake on. Alright, back onto a faster road then. This is a 60-mile-an-hour road, so we can get an understanding what the road problem is. No, it's so much more comfortable on my car. It's floating over everything it is. Oh look, an Ami. Oh. See a Citroen Ami. I'm surprised they got up the hills, to be honest. Yeah, medium pressure's up to speed. This is very comfortable. It is. Yeah, chassis-wise, we'll find a corner in a second. But chassis-wise, it should be very good. It's actually regulated to for motorsport. You know, they get used in, obviously hill climb, rally, track. That's used for everything. So we know the chassis, when new, is good. When it rains, you do have to watch out for a bit of lift off oversteer. It's nice. It feels nicer at this speed than my one, I would say. But my girlfriend was saying no 106s feel exactly the same. So that's probably due to how much rust they have. Good. That was very good. Comes in very nicely. There's a bit of handling in. Here we go. That's mainly tyres, that is. A little bit of understeer, you can feel just building up. But you can feel in the chassis that it doesn't want to do that. I feel like that's more tyre related than anything. It's got a nice flow on it. Yeah, high speeds. It's predictable. Fourth gear, you're probably in fifth gear up a hill. It's so light with this much power. You can stick. It's like a diesel. You can stick in one gear. It's perfectly happy about it. So as a cruiser as well, it's really nice. It's like fifth gear. Yeah, 30 mile an hour. This is a pretty steep hill. Probably can't see it on camera. It's a pretty steep hill. Absolutely fine. That's what we wanted the engine swap for. You know, with the 40 horsepower TU9, he'll be in second gear going, trying to get up the hill. Right, let's get into a little bit of cornering. See what she does. Not sure why we go so fast to get yourself into trouble, but it's just to feel it through your bum. What the car may or may not do. We're going to do corner. And then turn to third, and then turn to second with this noise. I reckon you'd get a bit of on-power understeer pushing it. You would. But I know, because I've been in the passenger seat of my girlfriend driving, that the back end can come out. But actually, that did pull in the classic front-wheel drive style. It pulled itself around the corner there. It's not the end of the world. I mean, there are ditch finders on the front there. So they're not providing much in the way of feedback or grip. But so all you can tell with that is chassis feel. And it feels good. The chassis feels good. There's not much twist. I was expecting a lot more body roll. It doesn't feel that way. High speed one again. About other cars coming the other way. The rattle's going on. It's a bit mad. There's that at me again. It's going to chase it down. He can only do 30 mile an hour. There we are. Yeah, that's good. Well, there's a little review of this 106 we have. First time doing a review, so let me know if any improvements I can make. I know the audio was pretty poor. I need to get myself a mic, really, because there's a lot of wind noise. Putting a mic here, there's attached for better audio, so I need to buy one of those. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.